We still got to do final predictions. All right. So there has been some reporting here in the Georgia space by a friend of the show, Mike Griffith. I want to say this first and foremost. Mike does a tremendous job. He's been doing a tremendous job for decades now in this line of work. His reporting says that Georgia is preparing an NIL package of somewhere around $1 million to offer or prepare to offer Carson Beck and counter the discussions of a potential NFL draft entrance. And I got to say this. I know nothing of the sorts. I can't confirm any of this. I don't have people telling me that this is the case. That being said, that does not mean it is not true, okay? Just because I can't confirm something doesn't mean that Mike doesn't have it. I just don't know of anything of the sorts. What I do know is this, okay? The people that I talk to in the building and around the game of football and in and around the NFL draft circles and scouts and all the general consensus that I could draw up on Carson Beck, he is a first-round quarterback, okay? He's a first-round quarterback this year. Okay, he is anywhere from the number 3 overall quarterback selected in this year's draft, or he is number 4 on this year's NFL draft. The discussion right now is between whether or not you draft Carson Beck or whether or not you draft Jaden Daniels. That is the way NFL decision makers are looking at this one. So if that were to be the case, okay, let's assume that Mike's story is true, that Georgia is preparing $1 million to offer Carson Beck. I'm going to tell you right now, you're about $11 million short. If he is indeed what we think he is, which is a first-round draft pick this year. If he gets drafted number 32 overall this year, okay, he will make $12 million instantly. So, yeah, if you got $1 million, that's fine. He's still turning down $10 million, $11 million of net income to come back to college, which brings up the next discussion, okay? Is coming back to college, and let's put Agent Brooks' hat on right now, is coming back to college for Carson Beck worth the opportunity of potentially being the overall number 1 overall draft pick? A lot of people will hear that and they will say, hell yeah, it's great to be the number 1 overall draft pick. You get $46 million. And I will tell you right now, if I were Carson Beck's agent, I would look at him and say, son, it is way better for us to be drafted this year by Pittsburgh at picks number 26 or number 27 than it is for us to potentially risk whatever we're risking coming back to college next year, ultimately to ball out and be drafted by the Arizona freaking Cardinals. You would much rather, if I told you right now, you would much rather be drafted in the back end of the first round anyways. You would probably agree with me, except for the fact that the first round overall draft pick gets paid an exorbitant amount of money. That's great. You get a tremendous amount of money. But let's be real about this position. This position, if you get drafted number 1 overall, you're probably going to an organization that sucks. So much so that we've got the number 1 overall draft pick this year threatening to return. It's already been out here. He doesn't want to go to Chicago. He doesn't want to go to Arizona. He wants to go where he wants to go. He wants to go to, guess what? A stable organization. So if I'm telling you right now that you're going to be probably a late first-round pick, maybe an early second-round pick, let's sign up for it right now. Let's go. Okay, let's go ahead and go. Because being the number 1 overall draft pick, in my opinion, and here's the take, it's overrated. Guys, I asked you before the show, name the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. You gave me a bunch of names. You gave me Brady. You gave me Peyton. You gave me Drew Brees. You gave me Joe Montana, Dan Marino, Troy Aikman, Aaron Rodgers. There's a litany of names that go in this discussion. Only one of them that is in the discussion of greatest quarterback of all time was drafted number 1 overall, and it was Peyton Manning. And guess what? Peyton Manning went through 5 years of absolute hell in Indianapolis before they were worth a shit. Being drafted number 1 overall is hella overrated. So if you're getting a late first-round draft pick grade as a quarterback, take your ass on to the league, dog. Take it on to the league.
So I think being drafted number 1 overall is overrated in the fact of it means you're going to have one of the great careers in the NFL. You're going to be a Hall of Famer. I don't think it means that. Would you mind going to the board for me real quick?
Yeah, I got it, man.
Thanks, man. I want to play a game.
Me if I can stump my studio one more time. Of course.
I want to play a game with you.
Okay.
Will you write on the board hit, miss, or meh?
Hit, miss.
Because we're going to do tallies of it. I've got 19 quarterbacks for you. It's the last 19 quarterbacks taken overall.
Hit, miss, man. We got columns?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
All right, first you got Drew Bledsoe. And don't judge this. Don't judge this by greatness of career. Don't judge this by are they Hall of Famers. Judge it by did they have long careers. Successful.
Bledsoe played for 10 to 12 years. He was a serviceable starter. He's man.
Peyton Manning.
Oh, that's a hit.
Tim Couch.
That is a miss.
Mike Vick.
That is a hit.
You can just do tallies. You don't have to.
It would have been no. I want him.
All right.
It's a major hit. Let me get my pen right quick. It's a major hit for Michael Vick. The only thing, obviously, everybody knows about that one.
Yeah, but that's his fault. That's not
a nice little butt shot to the folks. All right, what's up? Who's up?
David Carr.
We'll call that man. That's David, not Derek, actually,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a miss, actually. He led the country in sacks for 100,000 years. Okay, that's a miss.
Following that is David. Carson Palmer.
That's a
he had a 15-year career.
That's a hit. Carson Palmer's a hit.
Eli Manning.
That's a hit.
Alex Smith.
Man.
You put in a miss.
That's a miss.
My bad. Okay, who else?
Jamarcus Russell.
Miss.
Matthew Stafford.
That's a hit.
Sam Bradford.
That's man.
Cam Newton.
10 years?
Yeah.
8 years. Will you look that up for me? If he didn't make it a decade, that's a man.
He was drafted in 2010, right. Made it to a Super Bowl, won MVP. That's a hit for me.
That's a hit.
That's a hit.
He won an MVP. Period.
Andrew Luck.
Hit.
Jameis Winston.
Man.
Jared Goff.
Definitely man.
Baker Mayfield.
Good Lord, how many
currently
are
man.
Kyler Murray.
Definitely man.
Then last two, Joe Burrow and Bryce Young. I would say Bryce
Burrow's
Young.
a hit.
Bryce Young's TBD. We can't judge this
and
yet.
We'll put Bryce Young over here.
So, I mean, the miss rate isn't that high for the number one overall. I mean, that's only 3 guys where it's like they had awful careers.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And how many years back does this go?
That goes all the way back to 1996.
These are number 1 picks at the quarterback position since 96.
Yeah, so, I mean, they've had pretty successful careers. I wouldn't be mad if I had a Jameis Winston or a Baker Mayfield type career. Obviously, you're not the greatest ever, but it's still a very fruitful career. They got paid a lot higher than a guy who went in the 2nd or 3rd round. Now, obviously, you can't judge the longevity of that, but a lot of those guys up there played for more than 10 years.
Plus, I would say if you are the number 1 overall pick, you're given a lot more leeway and a lot more stability at your position to hold on to that position. And they're gonna give you some time to figure it out at least. They're not just gonna, you had 4 bad games, we're kicking you to the curb, we got to move on. I mean, if they take the number 1 overall pick with you, then they're gonna give you some time to at least hold that spot, and you got to lose it.
You're right. I think David Carr got like 6 or 7 years.
And you get a shitload more money.
Jamarcus Russell is out of the discussion. That's a him thing.
That's a miss stuff.
Tim Couch I don't know much about that career, but I would imagine that's
Browns.
just because he sucked.
Browns,
and he sucked.
Yeah.
I would imagine. So, yeah, I mean, you're right. It's like half and half in terms of guys actually having serviceable careers. So it's a good look at it, but you're still – you're not guaranteed success.
No, I agree. I mean,
wonder how many of these guys Vic overcame terrible situations. I mean, it was a losing program or a losing organization. Eli went to the Giants. I'm not giving him credit for
that. But Stafford had to leave.
Carson Palmer was in a shit organization in Cincy forever, so much so he complained and left. Stafford was in Detroit. He was in a terrible situation.
Cam Newton's team was
Cam
terrible.
Newton was in a terrible situation. Andrew Luck was the only one. They were in a solid situation. They got the number 1 overall pick because Peyton broke his neck. Remember?
They traded him with the Broncos. So, Luck I wouldn't put.
Luck is off of this list in terms of went into a shitty situation. And Burrow went to Cincy. He kind of went into a horrible situation as well. So these guys are so great they overcame shitty situations. So like that, I mean, that speaks more to them than it does to even this whole exercise. Yeah. That these guys are just really, really special.
Yeah. And I agree with you, the fact that playing your senior year and risking getting injured, all that isn't worth the number 1 overall pick. But I would say that I wouldn't say being the number 1 overall is overrated as far as a career standpoint goes.
All right, let's get into our final predictions.